Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. And yep, my tab just crashed again. Okay, it may be nearly hopeless for me to get this to work, but I'll try one more time. You know, it gets right up until the part where I click on chat, and then that's when it crashes. It works the whole rest of the time. All right, I'm just going to reboot it again, just for fun. Okay. Anyways, flying a little bit blind here. This is the first one I wanted to talk about. This one is really wild. I just saw this one a few days ago on Reddit, and it's I've discussed before about the fire tornadoes, but what's interesting about this one is this is video of apparently these firefighters are fighting this fire, and somehow their hose gets sucked into a fire tornado. What I don't really get is how the hose gets sucked up there without a person getting sucked up, because wasn't there somebody at the end of the hose holding it? I mean, did they, I don't know a ton about firefighting, but did they string out the hose and lay it on the ground, and then later the tornado comes along and sucks it up? If that's the case, aren't they worried about, you know, them getting sucked up? Because it doesn't seem they are. But basically what they're saying is, fire tornado destroyed our line. It threw burning logs across our guard for 45 minutes and pulled our hose 100 feet plus in the air before melting it. That's definitely a first. Note, it got over 200 feet tall, but the smoke was too thick to see it clearly on video. Okay, so that's what we're about to see if it runs. Both the computers have been acting up big time. I'm going to try loading this one up again real quick. Okay, so here we go. Hopefully this one, the whole computer, both of the computers are acting up. Even this one, I had to delete half of my tabs earlier. Okay, I'm hoping this one will run. And you should hear the audio on this one. Okay, so there it is. The fire tornado is up there apparently, and it's sucking their hose away. These guys are trying to save it, but it's just flying up. There's another part of the tornado. The speed of this fire is just way faster than anything I've played before. They usually were kind of leisurely, but they seem to be getting a lot more violent. It's weird because there's supposed to be this tornado, but right here there's like no wind at all. And these guys are just strolling around like they're not worried. Like, I guess the tornado can't get over the non-fire region. If so, then how did it get their hose? Because I'm assuming their hose is in the fire. So anyway, it repeats, but this is weird. Very weird. Alright, so that's from Instagram. You can see the address there if you want to get that again. The original Reddit one was not on Instagram, but I'm going to turn off the sound. But anyway, I can't stop looking at that thing, how fast it's going. Especially just a little bit. Look at that. It's just crazy. Anyway, I'm going to play that and I can see if I can get this Firefox to run over here. It's weird. It goes all the way up. You know, it loads YouTube. And then it'll let me get to Creator Studio. And then right when I click on chat, then bam, gone. Right when I click on live stream. It's weird. All right, let's see if we can get this up. Creator Studio. See, it acts like it's fine until it gets there. This is like the third time I've rebooted it, too. All right, anyway, so there's that one. I'm going to go ahead, as much as it's interesting, let's go see what you guys are talking about. Still trying to understand exactly what fire tornadoes are and how they form. Well, basically, you know, they started saying that fires make their own wind, and then they showed those little, sometimes there's these weird little vortexes of flame, and then somehow they've combined all that and said that You know, that's kind of a good question, though. How does the vortex get started? I'm going to see if they have any explanation. Fire tornado. Well, looks like this is making the rounds. Fox News, CBC, The Telegraph. See, is a whirlwind induced by a fire? They usually start with a whirl or wind of smoke. Fire whirls may occur when intense rising heat and turbulent wind conditions combine to form whirling eddies of air. These eddies can contract into tornado-like vortices that suck in burning debris. So they're just saying the air is unstable, and then somehow a vortex forms. Yeah, it's not really clear. Actually, when you think about it, I mean, how do regular tornadoes form? It's not really clear. I mean, I guess with regular tornadoes, you could say, well, there was a wind going this way and a wind going this way. But, yeah, the fire whirls, it's not super clear. All right, let's see. Cross fingers, see if it'll go to live streaming. Thanks for breaking the news on your prior vid that we have chicken legs. Yeah, those things are weird. I know one guy was saying there's individual variation. No way. I mean, I used to look at those images all the time. I never saw anything like that. All right, let's see if we can get to events. Dun, 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 dun. Ooh, it hasn't crashed yet. It hasn't crashed. Ah! You know what? What crashes it is this top chat. It's the minute it tries to load top chat, it crashes. That time it got all the way until this screen almost came up right here. Okay. Well, anyways, I'll just have to jump back and forth, I guess, for now. All right. This was the thumbnail image. What is all that slime? Let's see. I think that's another one that I found. Some social media somewhere. Slippery snot snakes create quite a mess for Oregon State Police on Thursday after truck carrying a batch of slime eels was overturned near milepost 131. All right. I've heard this before. Hagfish is what these things are, but I guess they're now called snot snakes sometimes. Hagfish, when I first heard of hagfish, they just ate like rotten stuff in the ocean. Then they were a little bit slimy, but apparently now they can make 5 gallons of slime, so much slime that they can choke on their own slime. Still trying to get this to run. Anyway, so it's getting ridiculous, and apparently now there's this delicacy, and they use their skin to make purses, and they're a delicacy in Korea. None of that was the case when I first heard of them. They just were fairly ordinary looking guys. But so anyway, there's this huge slime factor. Check out that. So apparently they harvest those here off of the coast of California and Oregon. And yeah, the first I ever heard of this being a product. And I'm always really interested in the strange products that make money. So I guess this car got slimed. It's like Ghostbusters or something. Ooh, you know what? We have successful launch of the chat. Yesterday, brown streak in sky in Morocco. So crazy, I take a photo. Yeah, you got to show us the link to the photo. I'm assuming that this is not something that can be easily found. Let's see. Brown streak in sky, Morocco. I'm going to put it on there anyway, just to see if anybody else. Okay, how do you spell Morocco? Something like that. Okay, I'm not seeing anything obvious. Okay, it wasn't like a news event or anything, I don't think. Let's see. Okay, so nothing there. All right, we already covered that one. All right, this one's an interesting one. This one was brought up by Geoengineering, one of the regular commenters. It's called a glabellar reflex. I have not heard of this. I have heard that when a hand gets close to your eyes, you blink to protect your eyes. But this one, you actually poke the child right here and they blink, but not coming close. You have to actually poke them. I've never heard of this reflex before. Glabellar reflex. So they're going to demo it. So see, even the kid can't see the finger coming, really. But by poking right there, the kid automatically blinks. So they show it lots of times. And this is one of the normal reflexes of children, which is interesting. Also interesting, you'll notice that this reflex has almost no wiki, so that always makes me suspicious. Okay, so glabellar tap sign, a reflex elicited by repetitive tapping on the forehead. Well, for one of those babies, it just showed one tap, not repetitive tapping. Subjects blink in response to the first several taps. If the blinking persists, this is known as Meyerson sign and is abnormal, and a sign of frontal disease, often seen in people who have Parkinson's disease. Okay, so not only have I not heard of this, but I have not heard of this Parkinson's symptom either, which is interesting. Anyway, I'm not sure, the nerves and a lot of things have changed around here in the eyes, so it kind of makes sense that there's different reflexes now than there was. Hyperactive third eye in connection to eyes. Maybe it does have something to do with third eye. But apparently this is a normal response. All right, this one was brought by Cemetery Gun. A commenter known as Big Times Ahead. Cemetery guns. I don't know if anybody's covered this. He mentioned it, and I didn't see it on any of the videos, but I haven't checked all the videos. So apparently cemetery gun was a common thing in graves where they had this a trick gun, like if you triggered it by stepping on the wires, it would blow your head off. And the reason they had this was to prevent grave robbers. Now, I had read about grave robbers in conjunction with the theft of gold and rings and stuff. And then very rarely they would say that physicians would sometimes rob the grave to perform experiments and learn how the body's put together. But it wasn't a big thing, like very common in my old timeline. But apparently in this timeline, it was a huge problem, and so they had this cemetery gun. The gun, which the museum dates to 1710, is mounted on a mechanism that allows it to spin freely. Cemetery keepers set up flintlock weapon at the foot of a grave with 3 tripwires strung in an arc around its position. A prospective grave robber stumbling over the tripwire in the dark would trigger the weapon, much to his own misfortune. So then they were talking about the tricks that grave robbers used to discover it, and how they then would put the guns out like late at night so nobody could see where the tripwires were. I mean, this could be an obvious problem if the people setting up the guns were to make a mistake. They could even kill themselves. Anyway, I've never heard of this, and I have never seen anything like this gun either. It's a pretty primitive looking thing. So I don't know. I'm really suspicious. 18th and 19th century. I'm really suspicious about that one. Looks like the chat is finally working. All right, cemetery gun. All right, this one is it's not really an ME, but I suspect this is tech before its time, kind of some of it mixed in. This one's from Stand Up for Freedom, which is a person who comments quite a bit on my channel. And basically, it's a list of all these geoengineering patents. And you can see back in 1891, there was a patent for producing rainfall. There's been some chit-chat about they're not. The only things I knew back that far were just kind of like snake oil stuff, basically. There was no, maybe paranormal, but there was no real methods known back then in my timeline. I have noticed that that is becoming more and more of a thing here. So anyway, here's a bunch of smoke-producing mixture, process for controlling weather, 1951. This one was for removing moisture from the air. Metal chloride screening smoke mixture. So we've got metals, 1952. And these go all the way up to current day. Cloud seeding carbon dioxide pellet, 1960. I don't even remember anything really successful in the 60s. That was more of an 80s, 70s, 80s kind of thing for me. Silver iodide cloud seeding generator, 64. You go along. There's just a ton of these in this timeline. Pyrotechnic cloud seeding composition, 78. Anyway, there's plenty of evidence here for weird chemtrail, contrail kind of things. I'm going to scroll a little slowly in case anybody wants to freeze frame it. You can see it's wakeup-world.com. Some of these are a little, there's some that say something about HARP too. Anyway, just really interesting. I thought they started successful cloud seeding in the 20s. Yeah, no, it was a lot later than that for me. I don't think it was before about the 70s for me. They were just starting to experiment with it when I was younger for me. They were starting to set it up at the ski lodges. Yeah, early 80s. Yeah, about then. Same with me, Suzanne. Early 80s when they did the ski lodges. And there was even a lot of chit-chat of whether it worked or not. But the ski lodges didn't want to take any chances because that's their bread and butter. All right, so let's close this one down. Okay, we already looked at this, the fire whirl. This one's a no. All right. All right, this one's an interesting one. Tab crashed again. All right, I've been talking about this a little bit. They're talking a lot about plants communicating through gas release, some root connections. Now, this one I just saw. In this one, they're talking about how when a caterpillar eats a leaf, all the other leaves respond with a special light show. So do they communicate using light? They're not really clear. Then right after the light, and these are, fluorescent, I think? So it shouldn't be, a blaze of fluorescent light. So it shouldn't have been that hard to learn about this, but supposedly this is pretty new. Well, no, wait. Supposedly it's pretty old is what I wanted to say. The study connects decades of research that has revealed how plants, often seen as inert, dynamically respond to threats by preparing distant tissues to deal with future attacks. Glutamate leads to calcium, leads to defense hormones and altered growth and biochemistry, all without a nervous system. Okay, so decades of research. So here's what happens, basically. Let's see if this will play for me. So this caterpillar eats this, and then right after that, this lights up. So it's, it's in fast forward motion. But notice that right after he chomps the last bite, you get this fluorescent response here. And then supposedly after that, the plant releases hormones that release like a pesticide-like material that's supposed to deter the caterpillar. So, I mean, that's really interesting. And they're saying that the glutamate channels and the calcium channels are similar, an abundant neurotransmitter in animals. So they're similar. And also they're saying that it happens fairly quickly, not quite as fast as in mammals, but basically the plants are a lot more sophisticated in this timeline than I ever heard. And supposedly this is decades of research. So I find that rather interesting. All right. This one is from Esther Anders. She said that she discovered one of these goofy flies for the first time in her house, and it's a tachinid fly, and they look like bees. They're really weird. They have a red fuzzy butt, so it's kind of a really obvious looking thing. You would know if you had seen them. But like a lot of the new animals and creatures, this one has sort of a weird life cycle. It's another one of those that like eats the caterpillars from the inside out. So the fly lays the larvae where the caterpillars feed, and then they hope the caterpillars eat the larva by mistake. Now you think these caterpillars would just not eat the larva, but apparently not. And then they get into the caterpillar's system and then eat him from the inside out. So that's pretty gross. Somewhere in here they also say that sometimes they have deliberately transferred these flies to new areas to control invasive caterpillars. Now, it's interesting. I've been hearing a lot of that in this timeline. In my old timeline, the lore was that every time they tried to do something like that, it would backfire, and so they're not going to do it anymore. But in this timeline, they just are moving stuff all over the place. They don't seem to have the same embedded lesson in their memory of the past failures. So we're seeing a lot of talk about how they take non-native species and move them. I did have it highlighted, but I don't anymore. Anyways, so whenever you see something new, check out its life cycle, its habits. There's usually going to be something weird in there, has been my experience. So does this happen naturally? This wasn't a lab test. Yes, they're saying it happens naturally, but because they had it set up in a lab, they could see it more efficiently. But yes, they're saying that the way the plants operate is that they have these light, fluorescent light warning signs. They didn't really explain how the light really helped the plant because it doesn't have eyeballs, does it? So how does it, what is seeing the light? It's real vague on that. But after the light show, then supposedly there's a hormonal release to deter future predation. And it happens fairly quickly, too. Flies have long hair now. That one does, anyways. Saw something that looked like a giant flying spider. Huh. It wasn't one of those mayfly things, was it? Or what do you call those? They have the big long legs. Yeah. They look like flying daddy long legs. Don't like those things. We have so many of around here last year. I mean, I almost never saw them before around here. And then there was just like hundreds. You'd open the door and like 10 would fly in. I would just go around on the curtains collecting them like this and to throw them out. If you have any light on indoors, then the minute you open the door, they all fly in. Something has changed in our eyes. Darkness is not the same as before. Shari D, that's interesting you put it that way because I had been wondering about that. Basically, it doesn't get that dark at night anymore. And everybody, all the ME people are saying, oh, the sky is lighter. But you bring up a really good point. Do we know if the sky is lighter or are eyes just scavenging more light and so the sky looks lighter? I don't know of any way to tell between those two. Start a video on how we should not be able to see yellow-blue colors, but I can. And can anyone else? Nope, I don't think I could see yellow-blue colors. I don't know. How would I know if I could see it? Let's check it out. Blue, yellow, the stunning colors you can't see. Red, green, and yellow, blue are so-called forbidden colors. Composed of pairs of hues which light frequencies automatically cancel each other out in the human eye. They're supposed to be impossible to see simultaneously. Let's see. Crane flies. Yeah, that might be them. Crane flies. My friend's been calling them mayflies, but then I remembered, yeah, that's them. I had looked them up and it wasn't them. So, yeah, crane flies. They don't bite. Do not bite people or animals. Yeah, I mean, they're harmless. It's just, they're big and they hog up a lot of room and there's millions of them. All right, so who could see the yellow-blue? You've probably never seen them. Titled On Seeing Reddish Green and Yellowish Blue, it is argued that forbidden colors can be perceived. The researchers had created images in which red and green stripes and in separate images, blue and yellow stripes can run adjacent to each other. They showed the image to dozens of volunteers. The observers of this unusual visual stimulus reported seeing the borders between the stripes gradually disappear. And the colors seemed to flood into each other. Amazing. The image seemed to override their eyes' opponency mechanism, and they said they perceived colors they'd never seen before. Huh. Images similar to those used in the film. All right, let's see. Get rid of that. Oh. Somehow. All right. Can you see them? Do they run together? That's something. I don't know how long it takes. One thing that's interesting for me is, I don't know if this is in there or not, but the line between them is fuzzy on this one. And much sharper on that one for me. Anyway, I'm not seeing them run together. I might try this later when I have more time. That'd be interesting if we start seeing new colors, though. Maybe they'll say that we can train it, or we could learn it. The color was always there, you just didn't know how to see it. Something like that. Then if you find out other people can do it, then you're going to want to do it also. It's like those seeing eye images where you would focus your eye back behind and then see a 3D image. Once you found out everybody else could do it, then you wanted to do it. But, I mean, nobody ever thought of doing that before. Me too, red green bar is strange. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's just the image. It's getting late. My eyes are half crossed anyway. I wonder if this ties into Freddy Krueger's sweater. Okay, you lost me there, Suzanne. You're going to have to clarify. Is it an ME related to his sweater? Once you see it, you start noticing it in the sky. I do have weird, like, shadowings and things that I see in the sky, but I won't know if I'd call it another. You know, there is a weird thing where, like, red and blue kind of cross over, but it makes a kind of purple thing. I'm not sure if that's another color or not. That's when I'm looking at the sky. I've done that a long time, though. I'm going to have to... I'm going to have to check into that a little bit more. Okay, so... got that. All right, here's another one. This one is from Chanty Moody. So apparently, squid can fly now. There's a thing called the Japanese flying squid. And there's been all these rumors of a certain type of Japanese squid flying above the ocean surface. And now scientists have an explanation. How does the Japanese flying squid catch air? It releases a high-pressured water jet for propulsion and then spreads its fins like wings to glide above the water, according to a new study. All right, so there is supposedly an image of these flying squid. There's no video yet. I think this one is really a new Mandela. There's not a lot of evidence for it. But the official journals are saying that these squid are legit. And you can see that there are trails shooting out their butt. So it's like flying torpedoes or something. Researchers tracked 100 squid in 2011. They observed the creatures launching into the air. When flying, the squid can remain airborne for about 3 seconds and travel about 30 meters. So that's like 90 feet. That's really a long way. He added that the squid are vulnerable when flying. It's possible they may be a source of food for seabirds or other predators. Just weird. So, okay, we have flying squid now, basically. They shoot with water jets. You know, I had flying fish, but I did not have flying squid. His sweater is starting to show up as dark gray and red. All right, let's see. Who was it again? It was Freddy Krueger's. Freddy Krueger sweater. Okay. You know, I couldn't remember what sweater he had before, but now I remember that I'm looking at it. All right. I don't really watch horror movies that much, so. All right, so let's look at a big image of it. Kind of big image. All right, so it's changing which one is the stripes, is that's what's changing. Click on images. All right, what am I looking for now with Freddy Krueger sweater? Ah, tab crashed. All right, anyways, I'll leave that up and we can come back to it once I figure out what's going on. All right, did that one. Oh, this one. All right. I've been talking a lot about the coral and how there are more and more coral reefs. There used to just be a few of them. They were highly endangered, blah, blah, blah. Now they've got, all kinds of different new reefs. And one thing I knew, though, was we never had any coral in California. Water's too cold. That was a tropical thing, blah, blah, blah. Well, now we have this thing called hydrocoral, which looks just like freaking coral. It's almost the same as coral. And there's a bunch of it, and it's beautiful. Hydrocoral. Admiring, let's see. Why isn't California protecting its unique purple corals? So we have a bunch of corals now. From what I can tell, they're very, very similar to regular coral. Purple seems to be the name of the game. They are a hard, stony coral. A magnificent stony coral, often of a vibrant violet hue. In Southern California, they're prolific around Farnsworth Bank. All right, this whole region here, the Farnsworth Bank and all that, that's now part of the Channel Islands, most of which are very new Mandelas for many. So along with these new Channel Islands, we're getting purple coral. But they're saying it's not really coral, it's hydrocoral. They're saying the structure, there's more variation in the structures. And then kind of the structure of how the stony part is laid out is different than regular corals. You can't tell by looking at it, though. It just looks like corals. The story is that during the 1960s, the reefs were so dense that one could see the ethereal glow of the purple hydrocoral from the surface of the water. So exquisite were these corals that folks started taking crowbars and picking them up by the tons to make jewelry. Ironically, they don't make very good jewelry. They're quite brittle. Yet people were so attracted to the breathtaking color that they kept on taking. The pillaging of the corals devastated the site. See, this is another example of, for me, there was no purple corals, but in this timeline, they're saying that there was millions of them. But it seems like, for me, a lot of times the storyline is completely opposite of what I actually see with my eyes. So for me, there was no corals. Now we have a fair lot of them. The storyline is they're going extinct because of over-collecting. But what I see with my eyes is we're getting more and more and more of them. And what I am wondering is if eventually we might see the ethereal glow of the purple hydrocorals. And that might be in my future. They're saying it was in my past. But this is one reason I'm getting really suspicious of the whole mantra of animals going extinct. For one, I have never known an animal that was alive that later went to extinct in my entire life. In fact, a lot of animals that they said were sure to go extinct, now there's a bunch of them. A lot of them are off the endangered species list. So I'm very suspicious about this continuing storyline. It seems like whenever a new Mandela comes in, a new Mandanimal, the first immediate storyline is there used to be millions of them, but they're almost extinct. And then another year or two later, they're highly endangered due to habitat destruction. And then another couple years, and these are threatened. And then a couple years go by again, and they've made an amazing comeback. So, I don't know, just something to keep in mind when you hear the mantra of destruction and extinction. I remember seeing Freddy's Dead 3D, and it really didn't work because the green wasn't bright enough. All right, so we're still talking about the Freddy Krueger Susan Gunther Photography, not Santa Catalina. Exactly, not Santa Catalina, because it never was a Santa. It was only Catalina in my timeline. Ah! Tab crashed. That computer really sucks. All right, let's go to here. No coral in California. Yeah, we've got a hydrocoral now. Beautiful stuff. Let's go back and see some of the rest. Images. And there's a bunch of colors. It's not just purple. Look at that stuff. We've got the best corals. All these different colors. Not just boring old white coral. Oh, no. We've got pink and red and purple. We got the chisel coral. It looks just like coral, and it's hard and stony like coral, but they're saying it's not actually coral. It's actually better than coral, if you want to ask me. Look at that stuff. It's amazing. You know, there's a lot more in the ocean now, too. Deep sea, there's deep sea. Used to be the deep sea just was, it was a barren wasteland on the bottom, but there's a lot of colorful things down there now that I didn't used to see. All right. I actually had these windows all pulled up, but my computer was not tolerating them. See if I can find. That was one of them was... all right, let me see if this is one of the ones I had up before. California hydrocoral is one of 350 species of hydroids. A close cousin of the fire corals found in tropical waters. It is not a true stony coral. See, and then the other website said it is a stony coral. But they do seem to be definitely stony-like and brittle like corals. Purple, red, pink, orange, and blue. Ooh, I didn't see the blue ones. The colors come from chemically altered carotenoid pigments, which make their way up the food chain, possibly from diatoms via copepods. In the pink colony, the polyps contain oxygenated carotenoids. In the purple colony, one of the compounds is joined to a protein. Since the colors are bonded to the coral's calcareous skeletons and are not in living tissues, they remain vivid even after death. So, very cool. So it sounds like the same corals can be different colors depending on what they take in. Farnsworth was designated an ecological preserve for this hydrocoral in the early 1970s. Never even heard of Farnsworth, and I live here. California hydrocorals do not have zooxanthellate algae and do not use sunlight to synthesize foods. This means they can live in deeper waters where sunlight doesn't penetrate. So all those beautiful colors deep down where there's no sun. Very interesting. So they have polyps, but no algae maybe. Male and female colonies are separate. They reproduce in one of two ways: asexually. My eggs. Been found as deep as 368 feet and as shallow as 15 feet. Anyway, just beautiful, and we have corals. That's all I have to say, and it is good. We had whitish gray corals here, but the bleach white are dead. You know, Cupie, now they're saying that short-term bleaching, the algae can move back in, and if the coral doesn't starve, then they'll be fine, and it's a strain on them, but bleaching is not death if it does not last for too long. And that is another Mandela for me, because it used to be bleached was dead, just like you just said. So now you can have bleaching, and then they'll be fine next week. There's a lot I could say about the corals. You know, they used to only all exist at one exact depth. They had to have a certain amount of sunlight, the exact right temperature. That's all changing now. I wish the dodo bird stayed longer. It came back for a month, then poof, gone again. Oh, you had dodo bird? I mean, there was rumors about finding one, but then, I don't know. It's not back, yo. I used to snorkel. Bleaching was dead. Yeah, not anymore. Oh, let me just make sure that that's still the case, but, see, okay, here we go. When water is too warm, corals will expel the algae living in their tissues, causing the coral to turn completely white. This is called coral bleaching. When a coral bleaches, it is not dead. Corals can survive a bleaching event, but they are under more stress and subject to mortality. So yeah, but that's how I remember it. They said, look, it's dead forever. Well, now it's not dead forever. So isn't that convenient? In 2005, the U.S. lost half of its coral reefs in the Caribbean in 1 year due to a massive bleaching event. Not all bleaching events are due to warm water. Cold water can also bleach them. So they're just saying it stresses the corals and they may die because when they expel the algae, they can't feed as effectively, but they can still take in the algae again once the temperatures moderate. So I don't really understand that. What's the point of throwing the algae out? The algae obviously didn't die because it's able to come back in, so why even throw it out in the first place? You know, in the old timeline, I believe the algae just died, and that's why everything died, because it was dead. But now they just expel it. I mean, what would be the point of expelling it? I don't get it. I don't get it. Does it take decades for corals to build up huge reefs, or is it like almost instantaneous these days? Kyokuk Monte. Well, technically, it's supposed to take decades, but California didn't have any like a couple years ago, and now it does. So that's a couple years, not decades. So again, the storyline. Is it just that in this timeline it was always here, or is it really a change? I don't know. Yeah, I learned in school bleaching was dead. Yep, that's a Mandela. All right, so what have I not covered here? Hydrocorals. I can go back to that one. Oh, this one's an interesting one. Okay, so probably kill the sound on this one after a minute, but basically this person mowed their lawn and everything was normal, and then a hole somehow appeared here overnight and shot an 8-foot flame. They don't have image of the flame, but they do have video of the hole, and so nobody's can understand. The geologists are saying that, let's go through this. The geologists are basically saying that they don't see any geology to explain it. There's no hydrothermal vents. There's no volcanism there. They just don't get what caused it. All right, so let's see.
For approximately 40 minutes.
The homeowner who lives nearby told us off camera he came outside
so there's the
Monday
hole right
morning
there. So they're
to
saying
flames
it shot
shooting
up this
from the
high.
hole up
See
to
the
the
holes
man's
underneath
nose
there.
on this billboard. Now county leaders are
somehow
trying
it
to figure
didn't
out
burn
how the
anything,
phenomenon
though.
started.
We don't believe that the devil showed up or the meteorites landed or the big booms happened.
So what did cause this hole and those flames?
All right, so I'm going to cut it off before I get a copyright strike. But basically, they're saying they have zero explanation for it. It doesn't make any sense. The geologists are saying maybe if we dig and excavate, we could figure it out. But so not only, even if somehow gas came out, I mean, what lit the gas on fire? Because you just can't, you need some kind of spark or something. So the whole thing is really weird. So I'm sure they're going to start saying methane gas or something. First they came up with those methane gas explosions over in Siberia. So now the storyline is starting to spread. Now we have a little tiny one in Arkansas. They haven't really explained it yet, but there's certain pattern going on there. Okay, now this one is from Carlene Keith, who is a commenter on my channel, and she mentioned this rumor, and it's one I've never heard. Now, about 5 or 6 years ago, I started to hear rumors of people who had magnetic skin and could clamp like spoons and stuff all over them, and they would stick. And then the naysayers are saying, oh no, you just have sticky skin. Well, apparently now there's a rumor that people will have a magnetic forehead and can, just like people in general, have a magnetic forehead and can stick things on there. And so I gave it a shot, but they're basically saying you can stick a key on your forehead. Let me see if it'll work now. So yeah, not as good as when I was practicing it earlier, of course. But I don't know if I would say it's magnetic, because I also found that I could stick a plastic cap on there. It sticks on. Actually, the cap sticks really good because it's lighter. I don't believe that I used to be able to stick stuff on my head, though. I'm wondering if there might be some change in the texture of the skin, maybe, that allows. See, it sticks on there pretty good. I don't know how to, even with some hair on there, it sticks. Check that out. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. The naysayers are all saying, oh, you just have sticky foreheads. Well, I don't know. I guess we all have sticky foreheads in this timeline. So some people are saying it's the third eye. I don't know. See, the thing is, I don't think it'd be magnetic because plastic is sticking. But it does bring your attention to a weird thing. I don't even know what to make of that. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of them saying regular people are magnetic. Anyway, I should leave it on my forehead. I don't think it's going to stay long term. I think it'll work its way off if I talk. We have forehead ridges. You mean wrinkles? What forehead ridges? Like in Star Trek? There's now, if you look at the skull, there's these weird ridges on the forehead. So yeah, it's not as bad as a Klingon, but there's definitely more ridges than a lot of people remember. There are too many end times Bible references happening. Yes, good point. Good point. That last one that I forgot to mention that, yes, that last one with the giant hole of fire, they're like, oh, it's not the devil. It's not yeah, I know. It's weird how they keep saying it's not. And then they say a whole bunch of weird stuff that you are immediately thinking it is. It's like when they say don't think about elephants, and then you do think about elephants. So when they say no, it's not the devil, part of your brain is going, it's the devil. So I don't know if it's some kind of weird like reverse programming to get you to think about those things, or what? I don't know. It's just weird though. Yep, we are Klingon now, but I wished more for getting Vulcan. Shari D, I'm telling you, my ears are way more pointy than they used to be. And I think people's ears are getting way more pointy. So I'm voting that some Vulcan is on the way. Shari D, yeah, definitely getting pointy. My ears are way more pointy than they were. And I've seen... I've discussed this before. I've seen a few people whose ears I thought had prosthetics, and that's just their ears. They look like kind of like a low-grade elf prosthetic or something. Look at that guy's ear. Pointy. People's ears are just way more pointy. I mean, not everybody, but I think on average, yes. Look at that guy's ears. Really quite pointy. I just don't remember them quite that much. I think ears are looking a lot better than they used to anyways. Okay, anyways. So that one was from Carlene Keith. All right, there's one more. I'm going to have to do it next time because I don't know where the video is, and somehow it's not saved on the tabs. Chemtrails. Burning hole. Okay. All right, this one's weird. I didn't know it was possible. I can't swear it's a Mandela. But, so apparently you can cause a snake to reverse. So this guy is causing this snake to regurgitate some birds it ate. What I don't really get is, I mean, those birds are fairly far down the snake. He gets the birds to barf out. I'm assuming because he wants those birds for himself, like the snake ate his birds. And maybe he'll eat the snake later as well. But I don't even know. I mean, I would have thought that the birds would be fairly digested by the time they got that far down. And the snake apparently is fine afterwards. He hauls it off and it looks fine. Probably not too happy, but it's not dead or anything. I don't know what to make of that one. It's just weird, so I just decided to throw it up there. Just never saw anything like that. Got you. Well, I think that's most of it. Ah, tab crashed again. There was one more. This one is also, I just saw this one today, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to mention it, but a snake caught in a spider web. We've seen some birds. Now we have a snake. I just don't see how that little tiny web catches the snake, but supposedly this snake is... I don't understand how that snake can be dangling by that tiny little web. It's a fairly large snake compared to that web. But we're seeing more and more about larger animals being caught in spider webs. So I don't know if spider webs are getting stronger or we're just getting inoculated to the idea or what. But that was one more I saw earlier today. See if I can get this tabbed, restored. This computer is really persnickety today. I may really have to buy one because this is like the second week in a row. I thought you were going to say put its shed skin back on. Yeah, not yet. I'm finally getting over being sick. It was horrible. I hope you guys are feeling better. I have been, but yeah, it took me a long time to kick that last one. Just like lingered in the lungs, kept hacking. Even after I started to feel better, but it was just like it took like 2 weeks to get that congestion out. Panda dolphins. Ooh, I'm going to have to check that one out. Sounds interesting. Panda dolphins. Oh ho 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 ho. Oh ho ho ho. No way. How many vaquita? Wait, vaquita dolphins were not panda dolphins. All right, let's see. Which one is are vaquitas the pandas? All right, wait here. Commerson's dolphin, is that it? Yeah, Commerson's dolphin. Oh man, no freaking way. Let's see if this one will load faster. Panda dolphins. That's a good find. I don't know if you found that one, but there were no freaking panda dolphins. No way. This also known as the skunk dolphin is one of 4 members of the genus Cephalorhynchus. A group of dolphins very attractive because of the coloring patterns of their skin. So there's 4 different batches of these, 4 members. Only native to South America and the other only inhabits the Kerguelen Islands. Small and sturdy. Small and fat. Pattern is variable depending on the geographic region where the dolphin inhabits. That's interesting. I'm just seeing a lot more of this. It used to be one species had one coloration. Here, there have a larger variety of colorations in this timeline, I think, in animals. And you can see it here with these dolphins. Just trying to see if they have any weird habits. A lot of these new animals have weird habits. Look at those things. No freaking way. God, it looks like that one's in captivity too. I mean, look at the walls here. That don't look like natural walls at all. Weird. They like to ride the waves of the sea, swim upside down, spin, and make jumps. Okay, polygamous. I don't see anything weird about them, at least not yet. Keep an eye, though. I think that these are fairly new. There's not much on them. Commerson's dolphin. Let me look it up under Commerson's dolphin. Yeah, those are definitely new. Good find on those. See how long this wiki is here. Oh, fairly extensive. Huh. All right, let's get some more images, shall we? Yeah, no. Panda dolphin. I bet you... See if anybody you know has ever heard of panda dolphins. I want to see if... I want to hear them say, oh, there's always been panda dolphins. You just didn't know about it. Oh, there's a lot of images for it. Wow. Those ones are weird. Look at, they have that thing under their neck. It looks like bottles. Yeah. Yeah, no. Oh, tab crashed again. Ugh, this this computer. Let's go over here and see what's going on. Anyway, yes, Carolyn Thranen, good find. Panda dolphins. Panda dolphins. That one's the extra weird one for the day. Very good find on that one. Oh, this computer. I'm really going to have to buy a new one. Alrighty, let's see. I think that's it. I didn't have a lot saved. So, SeaWorld has panda dolphins. Oh my God. SeaWorld officials recently announced Betsy, a Commerson's dolphin, recently died. Why was Betsy put in a small tank in the back of SeaWorld Orlando? Probably because she didn't exist before. There has to be an excuse why you've never seen them before, so they have to be in a small tank in the back. That's my version anyway. Okay, that does look like those walls that we saw earlier. God, that's a weird image though. It doesn't, it looks kind of copy pasted or something. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, the blue is not quite, it's too striking or something. Weird. Okay. Weird. Okay, so basically this one's gonna probably go viral about the cruelty of SeaWorld, and hence you will now be introduced to panda dolphins. And that is how the viral stories and memes kind of inoculate you about new creatures. Anyway, that's my opinion. I've just noticed that when there's new creatures, there's always some kind of excuse to get them in the news. And I think the old SeaWorld is cruel routine might be how this one's going to get trotted out. If they had existed before, we would have seen them in dolphin shows. They would have been like, humans love weird stuff. They would have been trotted out as, the it. They would have been totally... I mean, every show always finds the weirdest thing to do their show on. I mean, they weren't going to go on and on about gray whales until infinitum and then not mention panda dolphins. There's just no way. Let's see. Saw a thing having the number 7 is important. Statue of Liberty height should always be 150. 151 plus pi plus 1 equals 7. Okay. In one of the timelines I read that SeaWorld was closing. Oh, I guess I wouldn't be shocked. For me, the Toys R Us closed in the 90s. It went bankrupt in the 90s. And all the ones near me closed, and then I just assumed it was gone forever. And the whole story about how it was gone forever because nobody was buying toys was in the 90s. So it's been very much the deja vu for me to see the whole spiel happening again. And I guess I wouldn't be too shocked if a couple years from now I'll find another Toys R Us. In this timeline, apparently they were only doing badly in the 90s, but they never went bankrupt. All right, so let's look at Statue of Liberty. see if I can find that image that I was looking at before. Here, this is the one I always look at. All right, so see, this is weird because this pedestal is always changing. First, there was just this middle piece. Then there was these couple of slabs here. Then we got the star underneath it. Lately, there's another little chunk right on top, and then she stands on that. For some reason, they're counting the 151 and 11 inches from down here, and they're counting part of the cement that she's standing on. I don't know why you would. You should count it. And then this one here, from head to heel to top of head, now they're counting it at starting at her feet, and they're not even counting the green part of the pedestal. So from base to torch, why would you count from base to torch when the base is way down here? So there's something weird, and I think that this might have been up here a couple shifts ago. So they can keep it at 151 by adding in parts. It's like they keep taking out bits and sliding them in. It's like a freaking Legos or something. Anyways, it adds to the confusion, definitely. So now they're saying it's 300 feet, but there's a lot more pedestal in here than I remember. A lot more. But for a while, she was only 100 feet. So it's been 150 for a while. So that's cool. I don't know. That whole thing is weird. Okay, so what was that story that it always equals 7? 111 from here to here is not 7. 151, 5, 6. Okay, so that would be 7 if you don't count the 11 inches. But see, you remember 151 and you think it hasn't changed, but they can shift around where they start the counting from. Because I remember it being more like down here, and then now the counting's from here. So that's why you can't just remember the number. You have to remember where they do the counting from. And that's part of the sneakiness there. Go back to the chat here. That looks like a chat from a long time ago. All right, here we go. I was born in 96, and I went to Toys R Us a few times in the aughts. Yeah, I think it was just my timeline. I have not met anybody else who remembers that Emmy. I heard the Jesus statue in Brazil shrunk 200 feet. It's 300 feet now. It's 100 feet. Well, Statue of Liberty is a lot shorter. It was like 300 feet by itself. Now it's 300 feet with all that pedestal. Yeah, exactly. Pedestal looks almost as tall as her. Let me look at it over here. I did not mean to kill the chat when I was looking at that one. All right, let's look at some images of... I think we covered it last time. She definitely... You know, is it me or is the pedestal a little fatter now? I think that it's gotten fatter to accommodate her stepping. Because I was thinking a couple weeks ago that she wouldn't be able to step anymore because she would fall off the pedestal, but it was really tight on there. But now, I mean, duh, why can't the pedestal get fatter? It really looks to me like the pedestal is fatter now. You know, the number of little cutouts on the pedestal keeps changing too. I remember there being more smaller cutouts. in here. See if we can get some close-ups. Just check that one real quick. She's got an underarm stain in this one. But these markings are coming up. Last time I checked, that was just the throat, but it looks like it's coming up from the eyes now. Those dark markings. Yeah, look. The dark markings are coming out from this crack. I don't even remember this crack being here. I remember this hair being smooth all the way across. But now that looks like there's a crack here, maybe different parts, and a lot of black staining coming down. But I don't remember that being there. Look at that big crack. That wasn't there like three weeks ago. No way. In fact, I think her hair has changed again. Yeah, that wasn't. Yeah, her hair has changed right here. That is not how her hair was before. I think I saw this crack last week and somehow I just didn't. It wasn't as prominent and I wasn't really processing it, but I think her hair used to have a bigger bundle coming further back, and then these the ringlets were back here, but I don't remember this little part right here. I think that's her latest change. See what it looks like from the back. Her arm is fatter too, but I've noticed that for a while. Looks like she's got this I've been noticing. It looks like it's longer than last time. It's like a piece of fabric or something bunched up with her hair. It's kind of a weird look to have. I don't remember her having all this fabric on her head. And I think that's been growing for a while. Anyway, this is pretty much how I look for Emmys. I just scroll around. The foot's coming off quite a bit. So yeah, it's not super exciting, but so anyway, yeah, I vote a change on the hair. Definitely. These are bigger and there's cracks there. I think that was back further and no cracks. And I don't remember the fabric being real long. That it's a different look. I think her neck has gotten a little longer too. There's something different there going on there. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. But I think we're going to wrap it up pretty soon here. Chicago moved. All right, let's check Chicago. You know, I don't know if I really remember where it was before. I know that it was right on the edge of Lake Michigan. I can't say much more than that, actually. So I can't say if I've noticed. I thought Illinois was a lot more around Lake Michigan, though. I think Illinois has gotten pushed down a little bit. I remember it being further up onto Lake Michigan. More territory on there, so. Take a quick look at the Great Lakes here and see what's up. Images. Look at that little swirl on there. Lake Superior. This area is almost its own lake now. I keep waiting to see when that's going to have its own name. And it might be now. That one, Gregorian Bay. Oh, actually, you know, I think it was Gregorian Bay for a while. But yeah, that one's been growing for me for a few years. Lake Huron did not have this giant thumb. It was more orderly. And then this area here, Gregorian Bay, has been peeling off for some time. Also, this bit up here, I don't remember it like that. Anyway, so it looks to me like we're getting another lake here with this Gregorian Bay. So anyways, that's why I wanted to check it. And what's this lake, Nippigori? That one really looks, Lake Nippigori. I don't remember there being a big lake up there. I think this one is fairly new. Maybe it was tiny before. That's interesting. Great Lakes. Yeah, I'm really suspicious of that Nippigori. Kind of looks like she has a gangster swag lean. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that would be symbolic of. I don't remember the construction. I remember them talking about it but not seeing it. Yeah, Bill Bird, the last year or so, we've been seeing a lot of images of them putting together the Statue of Liberty. There never used to be those images. Cameras are more prominent in this timeline earlier on, but there was never any images of the construction before. I agree with you. Her hair is longer. I think it's there's like these fabric flaps now. It's just weird. Like she's got a head bandana thing or something. You know, and the back of the hair does not have a style that has fabric on it. So I don't know what's up with those flaps. The whole hair thing is weird on her. Does anyone remember the construction on the new tower? No, Ali, that one's been brought up before by others. But basically, there was a lot of talk, a lot of arguing about what they were going to construct, and then suddenly it was done. And I had not even seen the final design yet, and then it was done. You're not the only one who mentioned that. The Statue of Liberty is growing dreadlocks. Yeah, those curl things, I don't, they've been there a while, and it keeps shifting around, but I don't remember them originally, but they're older ME. But now you see this weird chunk right here on her hair. That hair used to come back here, and the curls were back here. Now it's like they're sneaking up on her head. Look at Rosie the Riveter. I think somebody was saying there's an Emmy on her. I remember her with the serious look, though. I actually remember that Rosie the Riveter. I don't think that she's got the exact pose I remember. I don't remember her tipped back like that. I don't remember her with her head kind of falling back. I remember her more forwards, and her fist more forward. But that is the approximate pose I remember, and kind of serious. But I don't know, her face and everything looks different to me, though, and her angle. Oh, the other thing that looks weird to me is her fingers. I just remember her more. I remember her clutching her arm in a more normal way. Right now, she's grabbing it on the top like she's plucking at her shirt more. I guess she's pulling back her shirt, but it's a weird. It's a weird, and I don't think I remember this circle thing on the lapel either, actually. So it has changed for me. I think I was looking through the videos, and somebody was saying that a lot of people remember to smile, and there certainly is a lot of residue for it. Here's one of them. This is a little bit more like I remember it. See, here's a little more like I remember it tipped forward. Look at Combo Thinker and Rosie the Riveter. All right, there's another smiley one. Interesting. More smiley. Smiley. That's interesting. I do remember her with a serious face myself, though. There's a lot of residue for the smiley one, though. A lot. Smiley. That one's two seriouses and one smiley. Smiley again. Smiley again. Yeah, there's a lot of residue for that. Oh, it's not Rosie. Another smiley. Huh. Okay, well, I mean, it's definitely changed for me, but I do remember the more serious look. See what you guys are up to. Her bicep is smaller. Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah, I remember a bulge there. They kind of hammed it up. See, a little bit more like this one. You're right. I do remember there being an obvious muscle. Because at the time when I saw it, it looked like quite a prominent muscle for a female, and I thought they were hamming it up quite a bit. This kind of shows it better. I thought they were kind of exaggerating. I'm like, you know, and only weightlifter women are going to have that big a muscle. But I figured it was for, you know, to make a statement. And interestingly, in this timeline, a lot of women do have those big bulgy muscles now, but Rosie the Riveter doesn't. So, I don't know what to make of it. Those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Nayika said that. Yeah, and I don't think that's in the Bible anymore. I think that's one of the Mandelas, right? Eyes to see and ears to hear. I think that's gone now. Ironically enough. Yeah, now it's lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears. Blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears can hear. That's just weird. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of mentions of the eyes to eyes, ears that hear, and eyes that see. The eyes to see and the ears to hear is how it should be. Here, this person remembers it. So anyway, yeah, there's another Mandela. Uncle Sam's hat. Yep, a very popular Mandela. Do you remember Einstein-Rosen Bridge or Einstein-Rosenberg Bridge? Einstein. I'm not sure on that one. Einstein-Rosen. I am not sure on that one. They both sound vaguely familiar. And it might be that I didn't have it locked in really good, and then when it changed, I heard it a few more times. That might be enough to confuse me. If I don't really know it. Unicorns now in the Bible. Yes, that one's been around for at least 6 months that there's been unicorns in the Bible. Timelines are merging. We are not going anywhere. That could well be. It's a popular theory of mine. So we end up partially in another timeline because our timeline is partially combined with one or more other timelines. So the final timeline is like a mix of them. And then if you add in like people getting the downloads, that could cover a lot too. So anyway, that's my current theory. It is not the cleanest of theories, and it is subject to change if I change my mind. All right, anyways, it's about 1:40, and I think it's about time for me to head on out. So I pretty much said everything I planned for today. So anyways, thank you all for coming, and I am going to head on out now, and I'll be back same time, same place next week. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.